Bee is a very interesting brawler, having all the aspects of a marksman, yet isn't really played like one. She has a very different matchup chart than other marksmen, and is sometimes the only meta marksman when the rest of her class is struggling. So why is this? And why has Bee managed to be consistently one of the best brawlers in the game, somehow managing to keep an A to S tier position for months now? In this video, I answer both of those questions and more. If you want a chance to win Eldritch Professor Barley or simply just have fun and a place to talk, join our Discord server. Link will be in the description. Also, make sure to subscribe to keep up with the PowerPoints. First off, as always, Bee's stats. Bee has a pretty average health for a marksman with 5,000 health with a normal movement speed. Her main attack is very interesting, and it's remarkably similar to Bonnie's, with a singular ammo at a range of 10 tiles, dealing 1600 damage. But the interesting part is that if you hit a shot, the next shot you have is supercharged and deals 4400 damage. Finally, and two things that will become very important later, her projectile speed is 3255 and her attack width is 1. Now, her super. Bee's super sees her shoot out 7 drones that spread out after 2.67 tiles, with a total range of 9 tiles. Each drone deals 200 damage, but most importantly, they slow down enemies for 3 seconds, which is extremely important for her. And with the basics out of the way, let's talk about Bee. Anything you can think of a marksman, Bee has it. A low health, a single shot, a very long range, with her range being 10 tiles, and a normal movement speed. So why in the intro did I say that she is so different to other marksmen? Well, it starts with two main things: her projectile speed and her attack width. So what's so important about these two things? Well, first, her projectile speed. If we look at the projectile speed of other marksmen, we see that Piper has 4,000, Angelo has 4,000, and Bell has 4,000. But Bee only has 3255. This is probably the biggest reason she can't really match up to other marksmen. At longer ranges, brawlers need to have higher projectile speeds, as it's easier to dodge slow shots at longer ranges. But Bee has a pretty slow projectile speed, meaning it's pretty easy to dodge her shot at a very long range. Meaning, it's pretty easy for snipers to dodge her shots. But that's not all that separates her from other marksmen. Her attack width as well. I mean, Piper has an attack width of 0.67, and most marksmen do. But Bee has a pretty large attack width of 1 tile. This sort of contradicts what I said earlier, right? As this should make Bee's shots easier to hit, right? Well, yes, but also no. Let me explain. Now that we are armed with these two stats, there is one big conclusion they bring us to. Bee is made to thrive at a shorter range, and not a longer range. Her attack, as I just said, is slower, so it's better suited to hit people at a shorter range. But her attack width being so big is a trait you often see with medium-ranged brawlers, with brawlers like Surge, Penny, and Charlie, not with marksmen for the most part. This allows her to easily and consistently hit shots on closer range brawlers, like assassins or tanks. And to top it all off, her super. The only other marksman with a super similar to Bee's is Maisie's, and we all know what that means. Slowing isn't really something marksmen do with their super. Usually they would want to slow with like a gadget or something to get away from an enemy, but Bee's super is a lot different. Bee doesn't keep away enemies with her super, she uses her super to kill enemies with the slow. And this segues to my next point: Bee's interesting matchups, especially with close range brawlers. When you think of marksman, you think of a brawler that's squishy and bad at a short range. Bee fits only one of that criteria, and hint, it's not being bad at short range. So how does she deal with brawlers at a short range? Of course, her big attack width, but also her supercharged shot. Tanks have pretty huge hitboxes, and couple that with Bee's pretty good attack width, and you are likely to consistently hit shots on tanks. And with B's supercharged shot, just 2 shots, no matter the range, is 6,000 damage, and half of a super. And since B shots only have 1 ammo, you can sort of spam them in a way you can't with most snipers. This allows you to easily rack up huge damage amounts on tanks and other close range brawlers. But it isn't the main reason for B's excellence at her short range. No, that's her super. B's super basically forces anyone near B to stop in their tracks due to just how wide the super reaches and how much it slows by. And the last thing you want to do when facing B is get extremely slow, as B will simply farm supercharged shots off of you, which can definitely hurt a lot. Overall, the combination of easy to hit shots at a short range, large damage potential, and the ability to slow enemies allows B to do extremely well at a short range. But what about her fellow snipers? I talked about it a little before, but at a long range, B can't really keep up to other snipers due to her inferior projectile speed, despite having wider shots. But bring the range closer, and suddenly everything changes. Couple her attack with her ability to 2-shot Marksman, and it's a devastating matchup at short ranges. So is there something that hard counters B? Well, yes, actually, and that's spawnables and turrets. See, the problem with these guys is that B can't get her supercharged shot on them. If she shoots a Jessie turret, she'll have to shoot it over and over and over again for 1600 damage, but she isn't the 1600 general, and so it'll take an extremely long time to kill. Even if she has a supercharged shot, this is just gonna waste it, rather than her using the shot on someone more deserving, like an actual person. This applies to anything, like Mr. P's turrets especially, who counter B extremely hard. But that's enough negative speak. Let's talk about why exactly B has become so good in the recent meta. Well, as I mentioned earlier, that B is extremely good against close-range brawlers, and aggro brawlers in general. And guess who the meta is trending to these days? Aggro brawlers. Every update, B is becoming more and more of a good counter to these aggro assassins, being able to stop them in their tracks with her slow, as well as counter them with her massive damage. Even with the advent of hypercharges, B has not struggled to keep up, as she has multiple tools to deal with faster brawlers. Her main attack, of course, has good width, but she also has her slowing super that's almost impossible to miss. And that's not to mention her own hypercharge, which is really, really good, and helps her both defensively and offensively, though I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little. And now, her unlockables, starting off with her gadgets. B is one of those brawlers where you can't really go wrong with any of her unlockables. Her first gadget is Honey Molasses, which sees her drop a beehive of sticky honey, which slows all enemies in it within a 4-tile radius. This is a good gadget and can definitely help in either offense, in which you can slow down a weak enemy and kill them, or defense, in which you can slow down a chasing enemy and run away or fight back. However, it's not as good as her second gadget, Rattled Hive. Rattled Hive sees B unleash 4 angry bees that go away from her in a spiral, with the damage per bee being anywhere from 400 to 1200, depending on the range. This is a very good gadget, as it allows B to put enemies into uncomfortable positions, and basically damage anyone that isn't paying attention, even if they are super far away or behind a wall. Now, her star powers. B's first star power is Instant B-Load, which instantly charges up her supercharged shot 1 time if B misses her supercharged shot. This is really good, as it gives you more breathing room for her supercharged shot, as you can afford to miss it and still have another chance, which is always good for something as lethal as the supercharged shot. B's second star power is Honeycomb, which sees B get a 30% shield while her sting is supercharged. Again, this is a solid star power and offers her a lot of survivability that can be useful, but personally I think the other star power gives a little bit more use. Finally, her hypercharge. B's hypercharge is Protect the Queen, which sees B's super projectile split into two when at max distance or on a hit. This is really good and is one of the main reasons why B is meta. This hypercharge can genuinely team wipe if used properly, simply due to how much of a spread and range this has, allowing you to slow the entire enemy team at once, which for obvious reasons is utterly broken. Obviously, this hypercharge gives her great fight back against aggro brawlers and is a game changer in the right hands. Overall, B is one of the most interesting marksmen in the game. She has nearly all the stats and features of your typical marksman, but some seemingly subtle differences in stats completely change her matchups to make her almost unrecognizable to other marksmen. Unlike other marksmen, she does best at a close to mid-range against aggro brawlers, with many tools to defend against them, like her supercharged shot and her super. And not to mention her hypercharge, which is also part of the reason why B is one of the best brawlers in the game right now. But anyway, thanks for watching. Watch this video, or this playlist, or join the Discord server.